Hello, my name's Andrew Lawrenson and I'm about to give you a little bit of a talk about playing for dancing. I have some dancers up on screen behind me here. At the end of that you're going to see a film, a couple of minutes long, of Chloe Jones doing a clog dance, and I'm playing the pipes for that, and she'll dance Alex Woodcock's Schottische. I thought I'd start by saying a little bit about the types of dance that I'm mainly focusing on. I'm keeping quite a northeast flavour to this. You could be playing for any sort of dancing, I'm sure. The ones that I find myself involved with and that are on home territory for Northumberland and County Durham. In particular, we're talking about the rapper sword dance, so the style of sword dance in the northeast, and also clog dancing. I'm probably speaking to an audience that knows loads about this, but there's no reason that you would have to. You might have come to the Northumbrian pipes, and it's really all about the pipes with no other awareness of Northumbrian culture, for instance. So just a couple of pictures behind me for you, and perhaps mainly to keep me focused. As well as those two types of dance, we might also be talking about ceilidh dancing, but it's not that I'm referring to so much during this, where the instruments have to be in a very sort of choreographed and arranged combination with other instruments, where there's more of a chance that you're playing solo or with one other person, perhaps for clog and for rapper. One thing I'd like to talk about is the choice of instrument, how the pipes measure up against other instruments. In a lot of ways the pipes are fantastic. They have enough volume for enough space, even in outdoor spots, but not as loud as many instruments. Some dancers have told me that they like the kind of unwavering volume, the sort of constant nature of tunes played on the pipes. However, it has to be said that you can't then produce the moments of punch or of volume that can really punctuate a dance very nicely. So, as you know, if we want to accentuate certain things, you've got to do it in other ways, perhaps by gracing, perhaps by going staccato or even silent for a moment to emphasise that something else is happening. So there are upsides, but there are definite downsides to using the pipes for this purpose. One of the things that I found as somebody who is new to dancing, new to playing for dancing, is that the attitude had to be really completely different. I'd played for years just as a piper, solo or in combination with other people, but that was really just about delivering music, delivering tunes. One thing that was a revelation, believe it or not, to me, was finding that now playing for something, playing for a performance of dancers, meant that it felt as though the tunes, as though I'd been missing something from the tunes for years, and I had never realised it, that these tunes, it's not true for all tunes, but that these tunes had a purpose to them that I hadn't really taken in, I hadn't sort of accepted, somehow hadn't noticed. And of course it becomes all about the fact that you are just one part of a bigger performance. So in a lot of ways it's a total reset of your attitude, or at least it was for me. Tunes that I'd found that I felt I could play perfectly well, was totally confident on. To realise that you can't let a beat drop, or if you make a mistake, that you have to keep your own performance rolling. Or what do the dancers do? The dancers go on performing their steps but without sound. It's obvious that there's been a mistake, that you have to keep going, a sort of merry-go-round that you can't get off. It also means that you need to be so familiar with your own tune or tunes that you can't be thrown too much. Mistakes do happen, and I suppose you need to be well enough at home with them that you're not going to allow that to become a problem. If you look out for the performance that you'll just see, I can see at least one mistake in my own performance or in our performance, but it's mainly down to me. It has to be said, the mistake that principal one that I'm talking about, look out for it, answers on a postcard. But this to me then is a different game, and it's delivering a tune in a different way. One of the aspects of this is the choice of tune. Initially playing for a rapper team, they had told me just play 6/8s, just play jigs and you'll be fine. And that was great. 9 times out of 10 that worked just fine. In at least one instance I started playing a tune which I knew fine was a 6/8, and the team just stood and allowed the tune to roll on before turning around to me and saying, "What's that?" "Yeah, don't play that, play something else." And you have to be ready for the fact that the dancers absolutely call the shots. If it doesn't suit the dance and they know that, but you didn't realise, then that's it. That tune goes in the bin for this purpose and something else has to be used. Dancers would rather, in the case of clog and rapper, have one tune played well, constantly repeating, rather than hearing 6 tunes that didn't quite do the job. Because if it's not good enough, it's not good enough. So choice of tune is absolutely crucial, and for some dances is prescribed as well, so it would need to be a certain way. I'd also like to say a little bit about dancing on the beat. You have some moments where clog is concerned, perhaps in particular. There are some moments when the bang-on timing that you might expect, the metronome approach, isn't really going to work. So for here you've got, this is star and shadow, rapper dancers and clog dancers, and moments where you have a jump or whatever. There's only so much that people can cheat gravity. Your music needs to match what the dancers are doing, even in a pause moment when they're waiting to come back to earth, or when they don't get that high off the ground and they arrive quicker than you expect. You need to be there with the next beat. So it is an approach of constant timing in theory, but there are moments where the timing varies, and hopefully the audience doesn't notice unless they're listening out for it, but the musician has to be ready to match the action. Some of the best dancers that I've been involved with also know, and they compensate for the fact that, particularly with nerves and with adrenaline, the dancers tend to accelerate and the music tends to accelerate, and it can become a ridiculous sort of race, just getting faster and faster even though you didn't intend it. Some of the best dancers that I've been involved with are always dancing slightly behind the beat, slightly slow on the beat. When I first came across this, I was massively puzzled, thinking that people were slow to react. In reality, they're not slow to react. They're doing their very best to hold the performance back to a kind of a calm and a controlled pace, and not to allow that acceleration. So, given a total reset for a piper on what you expect to perform in a certain way that is tailored towards whatever type of dance it might be, if it can be of a constant pace, but allowing those little moments of variation where the dance requires it, that's the attitude to have. Finishing here with another Northeast team, it's the High Spend Blue Diamonds. Why end on this? Well, partly because you've got a pipe maker in the lineup if you look closely enough, and I thought that seemed a suitable thing to end on here. So you're about to see a performance of Alex Woodcock's Shatish with me on the pipes, accompanying Chloe Jones giving a clog dance.